Good morning. We are going to learn today a little bit about a discussion about Hezek Reiah, which the Rambam has been discussing from the beginning of these halachas of Hilchos Shcheinim. And he continues on to discuss it periodically and sort of concludes the discussion in Perek Yud Aleph, Halacha Dalet. Now, I wouldn't say concludes it totally, but there is the wording of Hezek Reiah appears a number of times. Now, what is Hezek Reiah? And what is its base for being a issue? There's a lot of discussion about it. Basically, it boils down to a few ways of looking at it. And today we're going to introduce a new insight into Hezek Reiah, not of mine, but of Rishon, the Rashba. And based on that, perhaps we can explain the Rambam. But before that, I want to tell you the traditional views of Hezek Reiah. Traditionally, Hezek Reiah means one of two things. Either just like I walk over and I destroy your property physically, there is a way of destroying your property or your usage of your property with my eyes. I watch you, I look at you, you can't do the things you got to do in your property. You have rights, you have owner property rights, and I'm taking them away from you. If I were the government, I would have a right to do whatever I want, right? Because you don't have to ask anybody. But being that I'm a neighbor, I'm a person, a regular person, I have no right to do any of this. Or, no, it's not a real mazik, not really a damaging you. It's just, there's neighborly laws. There are, just like there's condominium laws, and there are, according to Torah or Chazal, neighborly laws that we have to live in a way that we allow each other. Now, that fits a lot with a lot of the halachas that we've been learning about not disturbing people, not doing things that cause disturbances in their in the area, that bring people in and things like that. So it's more like a neighborly clauses in how to live together. Okay, they're both two different approaches, and a lot of the discussions in the first part of Masechtas Bava Basra, and also a lot of the discussions in the Rambam here go around these two approaches. Now we're going to introduce a third and unique approach. And again, I have no indication clearly that the Rambam holds of this approach. However, we're going to just attempt to explain the Rambam based on that approach. And then, of course, if it works, if it fits, the glove fits, then it might be right, but I don't know that it does. So let's see. There's a few places where the Rambam spoke about it. We're going to start with the last of the places. Perek Yud Aleph, Halacha Dalet. He talks about there's also between neighbors different halachas, not only Hezek Reiah, where I don't want you to come and do things that hurt me, and those are called harchokos. Generally, in Masechtas Bava Basra, that's the second perek, and the various harchokos he talks about at length, smokestacks and outhouses and dust and moving of land of the earth. So he talks about these. That's what he's been talking about. And he says, "Kol harchokos amur the brak shamayla im lo yirchik rach havei v'shasa gareis hamach." However, in general, that's all they bring. It was about the other nizak. There are 4 exceptions. Elu amur Perek zeh. I talked about in Perek Yud Aleph. That is the Oshon Reich Besakisei va'Ovel Kietz v'Nidnu Dakar, which we just mentioned before. Now hear the line. There's no chazaka. Meaning you can be there for years and the other guy never said a word. Wakes up, says, too bad, I don't want you there. So the 4 Harchokis. The 4 Nizak. Now comes number 5, but he doesn't call it a number 5. Separates it. Hey, Hezek Reiah. The place where you need to put up a wall. Now, what's the rule in Hezek Reiah? I can force you on certain circumstances to put up a wall. There is no chazak. There's no chazak. Now listen, the lama shinu nizakin shan nizak nizika. A person can't tolerate these things. It's chazak that I really wasn't meichel. Shehezek Hezek, something that does constantly there in your face. But if they made a kinyan on the mechila, now this is a big shita. We'll see. There are various shittas in this halacha. Rambam is a very extreme shita. First, can't be meichel. In other words, I went over here and said clearly, I'm meichel you. It's okay. You don't need to worry about it. No good. I can take it back. But if we made a kinyan, then I can't. Now, we're going to examine all this. Now, let's go back a little bit. Sorry. There was a mention in Perek Beis where the Rambam originally introduced one of the main concepts of Hezek Reiah, which is that if a chotzer, that I can force you to separate from me. Now, we were partners, and now there's enough room for us to be separate. Or we decided to separate. We got to force you to build a wall. Here the Rambam describes why. So that the other guy shouldn't see me. It's an interesting lotion to me. In order for him not to see me. Well, I didn't say in order I should be able to use my field properly. But you can say that's what he means. And now he writes, Hezek Reiah, Hezek hu ve'ein lo chazak b'chotz. Elo, af al ish amdu kach shonim rabbis b'lei mechinsa kavei las mechinsa chaleshiyos. So, the Rambam already has introduced the idea, and Hezek Reiah, by itself, ein lo chazak b'chotz. And even if for many years we didn't make a mechitza, it doesn't matter. So first, now let's make up his mind. He doesn't tell us why here. He doesn't tell us that kinyan helps. He just tells you the rule. Perek Yud Aleph, he tells you everything with the reason and the why and the rule and kinyan. So make up your mind. Is the halacha being said in Perek Beis, or the halacha being said in Perek Yud Aleph? The Rambam doesn't have to repeat halachas. Could have said everything in Perek Beis, and then in Perek Yud Aleph talk about the 4. He separates them anyhow. The 4 halachas. And if he's relying that he's saying in Perek Yud Aleph, why does he have to say it in Perek Beis? What does it belong here? Second, why is it so important to throw it into the same halacha as Hezek Reiah Shmei Hezek? Should have said Hezek Reiah Shmei, and they're making all the halacha. Ain't like halacha b'chotz. Why is it part of that halacha? The Rambam writes, as if I just discovered a new Hezek. Now, wait. Perek before, Perek Aleph, Halacha Beis, he already wrote that you have certain halacha that you can, that you have to realize that this Hezek Reiah, that there is Hezek Reiah. He already mentioned Hezek Reiah. So why does he repeat? He just said, which he knows Hezek Reiah. What's the thing? Hezek Reiah Shmei Hezek, which the means you're bothering me. Yeah. That's what he should have said. That's all. That's what he should have written. What was the That's obviously, that's what Hezek Reiah means. He sees you. He's just repeating the same thing. Should have said, don't. He said, you shouldn't be able to be mishtamesh. I can't use the field now. Doesn't say that. He says, I shouldn't use the field and you see me. That's not the issue. I can't use the field because you see me. Yeah. That's to me, that's a very, very important point here. And I'm not sure, I haven't seen anybody really stress that. Okay. In Halacha Perek Aleph, he separates, as we said, Hezek Reiah is separate from the other. Why? And then the Halacha of Konami, I just want to say that there are three shittas in this. One is that Mechila helps without a kinyan, which fits the general Halacha Mechila. The other extreme is even kinyan doesn't help. And the Rambam holds, and others, kinyan helps. I want to just note that Hilchos Mechira, Perek Halacha Aleph, Rambam says, Yesh Dvarim Harba She'ein Tzirim Kinyan. There's no reason for kinyan. And one of the things he writes there is Mechila. So if Mechila helps it out of kinyan, so the Shcheinim asks why Hezek Reiah is different. And yeah. Okay. Now I want to just in general talk about Hezek. In Hilchos Chevel and Mazik, the Rambam gave us two types of mazikim. Chevel b'chaveirei and mazik b'mainei. Either damage him or his money. And then he tells you the difference. Mazik chaveirei b'gufay. You got to ask him Mechila. Giving money is not going to do it all. Money, if you damages money, just pay him back and you're done. So, you can give him anything he needs. Great. You got to build ask him. Where does Hezek Reiah fall in according to the Rambam? And what kind of kapara does it mean? Okay. Then another point. The Rambam says that on Hezek you can be Michael. Hezek Gufa, you can be Michael. So again, where does Hezek Reiah? What is that? Is that a Gufa? Where is that? Okay, so now there is in the Shcheinim, the Lushmartcha, others, they want to stress that the Rambam holds that Hezek Reiah kinyan helps, Mechila doesn't, because he holds that Hezek Reiah is a very strong Hezek. You're bothering, it's like you're going into your friend's chotzer, and therefore he can't use his chotzer properly. And that happens constantly. Mamish mazik is use of the chutz. So there's no mechila. Because even if today you will make it, tomorrow I need it. I want my chutz. And you find the Svar and Rishayim also that as soon as I want it, somehow Kenyan helps, but that needs a beer. How does Kenyan help? Okay, just transparency. Although we're going to say that the Rambam in Sefer HaYad may not mean this, but there is a tshuva of the Rambam to those who many of his tshuvas are to, which is the Chachmei Lunil, who are brilliant people. And the Rambam, they asked him that the Rambam writes in these halachas that between gardens, you only need 10 tefachim. And he says, even though in the Gemara it seems that Gina, there's Hezek Reiah. Obviously, it's a different type of Hezek Reiah. Wanted to need 4 amas. And there's a discussion on its own, and I'm not getting into that. But in the tshuva, here's what the Rambam tells them. I don't understand. People as great as you ask such a question. So he writes the word. He's standing, sitting, doing his private things. Because it's Einhara. That's only a different Hasidus. Okay, not our discussion now. We're staying away from that. So he says, Hezek Reiah, Hezek Godel Vada. Okay, so it sounds like what we were talking about. It's a Hezek Godel. Okay. So when he writes, and he writes Hezek Reiah, it means to say that it's a Hezek Godel. Yeah, he couldn't have written other words, like we said before. He should have said rinse. Because that's the Hezek Godel. And therefore he gave me Michael, but then what does Kenyan know? So again, I have no indication clearly that the Rambam agrees to this idea, but I want to present it just because it is a beautiful insight into Hezek Reiah, and if the Rambam holds that way, it would answer a lot of the questions. The Rashba in a tshuva, Chelik Beis, Simeresh Samaches, writes that the reason this is a big shiloh. What happens if there's a minig not to be a makbik? He says minig b'toz hu ve'ein a minig. She'ein mechula hakpada el b'mamen she'adam rashoy litin es shaloi elizek v'nechos. You can only give up a hezek. Now listen to this. This is a incredible new insight into Hezek Reiah. Aval einoi rashoi lifrag gidron shal Yisrael v'shalei linig b'tznius v'geirim l'stalik Shcheinim Yisrael. Listen, you hear this? You have no right to destroy the fabric of the Jewish way of life and not to conduct yourself in a modest way, which causes that the Shekhinah should go away from you. And he quotes the Gemara in second Perek, above Basra. Then the Gemara quotes the pasuk from Bilam, Vayisa Bilam Azena Vayar say Yisrael Sheichem L'Shratov. In other words, the Shechina and Sneers go hand in hand. And he continues. And that's what he wants to Hakoil, let's do Hutzvadam. You have to have Hutzvadam. Less than that doesn't go. And therefore he says if there's no, you can't make a minig against the Torah. Can make a minig that's mevatel the Gidron Shal Yisrael. Should we say that the Rambam agrees to this approach? it would literally, you would see his golden blush, Shcheinim has all of the Rambam. So he writes there again. Yes, it doesn't right because I can't work. Don't I shouldn't see it. Now here he writes Hezek Reiah, even though he wrote already Hezek Reiah, he writes here that this is Hezek Reiah. Forget it. It's not. I can't be. I am mishtamish, but you're going to see me like it sneeze. It's not what I'm not doing. Perek Yisrael. And he writes right away, because it's not a need of a communal neighborly din or a din of Hezek Memamin. It's a Hezek Kloli L'Matzavim Sheklal Yisrael. It's a Hezek to the Gidron Shel Yisrael. You can't have a chazaka. So in Perek Yud Aleph, he separates them because the svara that he writes, because it's Hezek Kivur, could be only on the Daled Bar. But Hezek Reiah has its own reason, as he said before, and that's what he writes K'may Shebiyar. So they don't do Chevel Mazik, and they do Kapara. It's a whole different Indian. So I must say, what does Kinyan help? What does Kinyan help? Kinyan helps Ulai, and there's those who say such an idea that I give him. If I make a Kinyan, I am giving him sort of a right in my chotzer. We're not anymore separate. You want to do now? You want to be a problem with sneeze? That's your problem. That's not Gidron Shel Yisrael anymore. There's nothing as if we didn't. We were mevatel our chalukah. We were mevatel the idea that we're separate. We're not separate anymore. We're living together. That's what the Kinyan does. It's a chiddush. Again, I want to reiterate. I have no indication that the Rambam holds this is the swara of Hezek Reiah. I only have the indications that if we say that, it fits very well into the Rambam. And the Rajma swara, I think, is like a massive breakthrough in the union of Hezek Reiah. It's a whole different approach to it. And Al Kaponim, that's what I think works out very nice with the Rambam. Like, be well.